Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia, a city rich in history and culture, known for its pivotal role in the American Civil Rights Movement. He was born on January 15, 1929, a time when the United States was grappling with the Great Depression and racial segregation was deeply entrenched in society. His birth name was Michael Luther King Jr., but he later changed it to Martin to honor the Protestant reformer Martin Luther. His father, Martin Luther King Sr., was a prominent pastor and a strong advocate for civil rights, which greatly influenced young Martin's upbringing. His father's church, Ebenezer Baptist Church, was not just a place of worship but also a community hub where social issues were discussed and addressed. King attended Morehouse College, an esteemed historically black college in Atlanta, where he was exposed to new ideas and philosophies that shaped his worldview. He was particularly inspired by Dr. Benjamin Mays, the president of Morehouse College, who was a mentor and a significant influence on King's intellectual and spiritual development. Dr. Mays was a renowned scholar and a passionate advocate for social justice, whose teachings on nonviolence and equality left a lasting impact on King. Motivated by his father's example and Dr. Mays's teachings, King decided to follow in their footsteps and become a minister, dedicating his life to service and advocacy. King graduated from Morehouse in 1948 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology, ready to take on the challenges of a segregated society. He then went on to attend Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania, where he continued to excel academically and further developed his theological and philosophical beliefs. At Crozer, King was a standout student, winning numerous awards for his academic achievements and his oratory skills, which would later become one of his most powerful tools in the fight for civil rights. King earned his doctorate in systematic theology from Boston University in 1955, solidifying his intellectual foundation and preparing him for his future role as a leader. After completing his education, King returned to the South, a region fraught with racial tensions and injustices, determined to make a difference. He became the pastor of Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama, where he began to put his beliefs into action. The church, located in the heart of Montgomery, became a center for civil rights activism under King's leadership. It was here in Montgomery that King's civil rights work truly began, as he led the community in the fight against segregation and inequality. Throughout his early life, King was recognized as a gifted student, excelling in his studies and demonstrating a deep commitment to learning and personal growth. He was also a gifted speaker, known for his powerful and eloquent oratory, which would later inspire millions in the struggle for civil rights. King's philosophy of nonviolent resistance was greatly influenced by Mahatma Gandhi, whose successful use of nonviolence in India's struggle for independence provided a powerful model. Gandhi's belief in nonviolent resistance as a means to achieve social and political change resonated deeply with King, who saw it as the most effective way to combat racial injustice in America. King adopted this philosophy wholeheartedly, leading numerous nonviolent protests and marches that became a hallmark of the civil rights movement. He firmly believed that nonviolent resistance was the best way to fight for civil rights, advocating for peaceful protests and civil disobedience as the path to achieving equality and justice for all. Rosa Parks was arrested in Montgomery. On December 1, 1955, she made a courageous stand against racial injustice. She refused to give up her seat on a bus to a white passenger. This simple act of defiance sparked a massive boycott. Black people in Montgomery refused to ride the buses. They chose to walk, carpool, or find other means of transportation. The boycott lasted for 382 days. During this time, Martin Luther King Jr. emerged as a prominent leader. He led the boycott with unwavering determination. King became a national figure, capturing the attention of the entire country. The boycott was ultimately successful. The Supreme Court ruled that bus segregation was illegal. This landmark decision was a turning point in the fight for civil rights. This was a major victory for the black community in Montgomery and for civil rights activists across the nation. The success of the boycott demonstrated the power of nonviolent resistance. It showed that peaceful protests could bring about significant change. It made King a symbol of the civil rights movement. His speeches and actions inspired countless others to join the cause. King faced many challenges during the boycott. He was arrested multiple times and his house was bombed. Despite these threats, he remained steadfast, but he never gave up. His resolve only strengthened, and he continued to lead with courage and conviction. He believed deeply in his cause. He knew that justice and equality were worth fighting for. He knew that they would overcome. The Montgomery Bus Boycott was a testament to the strength and resilience of the Black community and their unwavering commitment to justice. King and other leaders founded the SCLC. SCLC stands for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. It was founded in 1957. The goal was to coordinate civil rights efforts. They wanted to use nonviolent resistance. The SCLC organized many protests. They organized boycotts, they organized sit-ins, they organized marches, they fought for voting rights, they fought for desegregation, they fought for equal rights. King was the president of the SCLC. He was a charismatic leader. He inspired millions of people. He traveled across the country. He preached about equality and justice. He spoke out against racism and segregation. Martin Luther King Jr., a prominent leader in the civil rights movement, organized a monumental march on Washington, D.C. This event was meticulously planned by King and other civil rights leaders who aimed to bring national attention to the struggles faced by African Americans. It was in August 1963, a time when the nation was deeply divided by racial tensions and inequality. The march was set against the backdrop of a turbulent era in American history. Over 250,000 people attended this historic event. The sheer size of the crowd was a testament to the widespread support for the cause of civil rights and the desire for change. They marched for jobs and freedom, demanding economic opportunities and an end to the systemic barriers that kept African Americans in poverty. The marchers carried signs and banners that boldly proclaimed their demands. They also marched for equality and justice, seeking to dismantle the legal and social structures that perpetuated racial discrimination. Their voices united in a powerful call for fairness and human dignity. At the heart of the march, Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. His words resonated deeply with the crowd and echoed across the nation. He spoke about his dream of equality, envisioning a future where people would be judged by the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. The crowd's reactions were a mix of hope, inspiration, and determination. King dreamed of a day when his children would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by their individual qualities and abilities. This vision was not just for his own children, but for all children across the nation. He dreamed of a day when all people would be free, regardless of their race or background. The diverse crowd at the march symbolized the unity and collective hope for a better future. The March on Washington was a turning point in the civil rights movement. It demonstrated the power of peaceful protest and the strength of a united front in the fight for justice. The march put significant pressure on the government to address the issues of racial inequality and injustice. Politicians could no longer ignore the demands of the people. This pressure led to the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, a landmark piece of legislation that aimed to end discrimination in various aspects of American life. This law outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, paving the way for a more inclusive and equitable society. It was a significant step forward in the ongoing struggle for civil rights. Section 5, Nobel Peace Prize. King was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. He was only 35 years old, making him the youngest person to ever receive the award. He won it for his work in the civil rights movement. King donated the prize money to the movement. He continued to fight for equality, leading marches in Selma, Alabama, and speaking out against the Vietnam War. He also fought for economic justice. King's Nobel Prize was a global recognition. It showed the world the importance of his work and inspired people around the world to fight for justice and equality. Section 6. Vietnam War and Poverty. King opposed the Vietnam War, believing it was unjust and that it took resources away from domestic programs. He spoke out against the war, calling for peace. King also focused on poverty, seeing it as a moral issue and calling for economic justice. He wanted to help the poor and planned a Poor People's Campaign. King's stance on Vietnam and poverty was controversial. Some people criticized him, thinking he should focus solely on civil rights. But King believed that all forms of injustice were connected. Section 7. Assassination. King went to Memphis, Tennessee to support striking sanitation workers. On April 3, 1968, he gave a speech where he said, "I've been to the mountaintop." He mentioned that he had seen the promised land. On April 4, 1968, King was assassinated. He was shot on the balcony of his motel room and he was only 39 years old. His death shocked the nation. King's assassination was a tragedy that robbed the world of a great leader. It led to riots and unrest, but it also inspired people to continue his work. Section 8. Enduring Legacy. King's legacy continues to inspire. He is remembered for his message of peace and love, his fight for equality and justice, and his belief in nonviolence. King's birthday is a national holiday, and schools and streets are named after him. Monuments and memorials honor him, and his words and deeds continue to resonate. King's dream of equality is still alive. People around the world are still fighting for justice, inspired by his courage, his vision, and his unwavering belief in the power of love.